What's going on? What's going on? Your boy SteezyASmith in the building.
Before we get started, I need to point out that there is a factual error in this video. You're going to hear me a couple times claim that the Dodgers are in their 4th World Series in 5 years. This is incorrect. They're in their 3rd World Series in 4 years.
Major League Baseball's 2020 outing will conclude with the 116th World Series. Out of the American League, it's the Tampa Bay Rays. Their momentous pitching staff has defeated the Houston Astros. Out of the National League, of course, who else? The Los Angeles Dodgers. This is their 4th World Series in only 5 years. Hello, TeamSteezy, and welcome to yet another one of my baseball videos. This is Eddie again. Don't worry, we'll get to know each other sooner or later. Let's talk baseball. It's one of those seasons where both leagues end on a Game 7 championship series. We are so blessed to have that happen this time around. And I think we all can take a big, deep breath that the Houston Astros are finally out of the playoffs. I don't want to talk trash today, but I know that a lot of us were rooting against them. And as a guy who lives in Seattle, I cannot help but root for one, Mike Zunino, a former first-rounder Seattle Mariners draft pick, and Blake Snell, who is from the great state of Washington. We'll get into that in a little bit. Out in the National League, I mean, of course the Dodgers have won the NLCS. They've won the NLCS many a time in the past handful of years. They're really, really, really good at getting to the World Series. They are really, really, really bad at winning it once they're there. In fact, the Los Angeles Dodgers have not successfully won a World Series since 1988 when they beat the Oakland Athletics. This was that World Series that featured in a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened Vince Scully radio call. In the cockpit for the Dodgers, it's manager Dave Roberts. His season was alright. He had 43 wins and only 17 losses. Only 17 losses is very impressive. Not as impressive in a 60-game season. That means they lost a little more than a fourth of their games. I'm not going down this road, I'm sorry. Especially when we compare it to Tampa Bay Rays manager Kevin Cash, whose record is 40-20 this year. That's just slightly worse, but it's honestly, this is a pretty even matchup in terms of record. Let's meet the Tampa Bay Rays first. Tampa Bay possesses a starting rotation achieved by the few, but envied by the many. Rays ace Blake Snell, the biggest pitching product of the University of Washington Huskies since Tim Lincecum, is at the helm. In his ranks, Tyler Glasnow, Josh Fleming, Charlie Morton. There are no breaks in this starting rotation. And then there's the bullpen. Diego Castillo, Ryan Thompson, Peter Fairbanks, and Nick Anderson have been getting the job done this October. Now let's talk about the offense. Tampa Bay's offense cannot be discussed without discussing Randy Arozarena. Leading his team in home runs and batting average, this guy is an offensive threat to LA. Manuel Margot gets the honorable mention. He's got 5 home runs and 11 RBI this time around. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's start with the pitching staff. By now, you've heard all of the fuss about Clayton Kershaw. The last time the Los Angeles Dodgers won a World Series, it was the same year that Clayton Kershaw was born. Clayton Kershaw is regarded as one of the greatest pitchers of the 21st century. But it is worth pointing out that he has yet to receive his first championship ring. Now, it is my opinion that this is not a good measure of a baseball player's worth. Rings are for teams, not for players. This isn't basketball. This is not a sport where one guy can just go and win a championship for any given city. It doesn't work that way. However, the further and further we go into Clayton Kershaw's career, the harder and harder it is not to bring this topic up. Most prominently in regards to the fact that Kershaw has been in 4 of the past 5 World Series and has still lost to the competition each time. Helping him out this time around, it's going to be Walker Buehler, and it's either Julio or Julio Urias. I don't never tell which one it is. And oh my gosh, is that it? Come to think of it, I've only seen those 3 pitch for the Dodgers this entire postseason. And then, how does one even begin to discuss the Los Angeles Dodgers offense? You could take any of their baseball cards, shake it up in a box, pull one out, and it would be a star player if they had their own team. We're talking names like Mookie Betts. We're talking names like A.J. Pollock, Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager have just been destroying the National League this year. They have been so good that me, a San Francisco Giants fan, is genuinely impressed with the team that Los Angeles has put together. Interesting enough, flip that coin. Let's go back and talk about Tampa Bay. This is their weakness. Not necessarily their facing one of the greatest lineups ever, but they're doing it with not that great of a lineup. I really hate to say it because I'm talking about the American League champions. The Tampa Bay Rays do not have a good lineup. Austin Meadows, Brandon Lowe, Yandy Diaz, they're all batting like below 150. And here's something funny for you. Mike Zunino, he's got a 230 on-base percentage, but he also leads his team in number of times caught stealing. It's like 50-50 when he tries to steal. While we're talking weaknesses, it's only fair that I also talk about the problems that the Dodgers have. The Dodgers' problem is their bullpen. I was talking about Clayton earlier, I was talking about Buehler. They're great pitchers, honestly. But if they can't get their length in, if they get taken out of the game, the Dodgers they have trouble. So here's the key to the game for the Dodgers, alright? The key to the game is going to be get length out of your starters. It really comes down to that. I'm not just talking about Clayton. I'm done saying what I had to say about Clayton. LA puts their starters out there. They need to get the job done. If we see games where these starters come in and they get 3 innings where they get pulled, it's just over for LA. That's that. The offense will do their job. They absolutely will do their job. I don't have to sit here and explain to everybody how great the batters in LA are. Tampa Bay can take advantage of this. Tampa Bay could easily look at any starter that LA throws at them, whether it be Clayton or Buehler or whoever, and just work that pitch count up. I'm talking fouling balls off. I'm talking about drawing walks. I'm talking about doing anything they need to do to get that pitcher out of the game. Because as soon as they turn over that bullpen, I do think that the Tampa Bay's lineup that they have can really drill into them. We saw this happen before. This is what Atlanta did to the Dodgers in the NLCS. Before we wrap this one up, I have one more talking point. I just wasn't quite sure where to put it. I want to talk about the venue. I don't think it's fair that the World Series is being held in Arlington. I don't have a problem with neutral site. Neutral site is not the issue. The problem is that the Los Angeles Dodgers have been playing in Arlington since the National League Division Series. They've been in this stadium all October. By now, the Dodgers probably know the best way to get to the stadium from the hotel. They've really settled in. They probably know where the best restaurants are in the area, or the best place to work out in the area. The Tampa Bay Rays just got off the airplane. I don't think this is truly a neutral site in the sense that the Dodgers have been living here all month. This would be a great topic for another video, which brings me to the next thing I want to talk about. The next time you hear from me, the World Series and the 2020 season will be over. In the off-season, I'm going to talk a little bit more just about how weird this season was, as well as baseball videos in a more generic sense as well. So to make sure you don't miss another video from myself or any other of Steezy's videos, if you haven't already, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. And while we're at it, go ahead and like the video as well. At this point, I'd like to ask you to let me know in the comment section who you're rooting for and your predictions for the game. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Enjoy the World Series. Thanks, everybody.